Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. And we are having a little bit of technical difficulty as we are just now going live. So I want to welcome everyone wherever you are across the U.S. and wherever you are around the globe for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature, it is untouched by man? It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the contribution pages of our websites at New Life Ministries International.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, and those of you that use the QR code provided on Facebook and YouTube, and those of you that use Zelle on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. We thank all of you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I want to address a couple of housekeeping items, for lack of a better term. For those of you that were tuned in yesterday for the Sunday sermon on Facebook and on our YouTube channel at New Life Christian Center Pastor Pope, I want to say to all of you, we had some technical issues yesterday and you weren't able to hear the Sunday sermon with clarity. However, I just want you to know that we are working to get that resolved. But thank you all for tuning in, because I saw so many of you were tuned in yesterday, and I just thank you for being with us and for allowing us to be with you. But we want everyone, if you're in our area, we want you to come worship with us at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. Service begins at 10 a.m. And then, if you're not in our area, you can tune in 10:45 a.m. when the Sunday sermon goes live. But there's a lot going on at New Life Christian Center, so we don't want you to miss that. And for those of you who may know someone that's in need of food, we have our New Life Food Source pantry. So if you know someone that's in need of food or is dealing with some food insecurities, have them contact us on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. We will make certain that we give them the information where they can pick up food at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. And I want to remind everyone, stay connected with us through our internet radio station, WKAPFaith.com, where we play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So we want you to be connected with us at all times. Stay connected. You will see all of the things that we're doing at New Life. We invite you to be a part of what we're doing. And for those of you that are in the real estate business, come July 1st, okay, I want to make sure I make this announcement continuously. I'm saying to everyone that we will launch on Monday, July 1st, as your private money lender broker. We are already, we actually expedited the process, so we're actually prepared now, but right now we're contacting realtors and working with the realtors to let them know that we're available for private money lending brokering. If you are in the real estate business, whether you're doing flips or whether you're doing wholesaling, whether you're buying, whatever it is you're doing, if you're a developer, we have capital available for you in 41 states. Contact us on the T-Mobile call or text line. We will make certain that you get funding for your projects. So just stay connected with us because we're trying to give everyone new life. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you feel as though your parents want you to live the life they want you to live. However, you said you are a grown adult and you want to live the way you want to live. And it has strained the relationship with your parents. You know, I'm going to say this to you. I don't really believe that your relationship with your parents, your father and mother, is strained because you want to live the way you want to live. I think you are straining the relationship with your parents because they're constantly giving you guidance, instruction, direction, guidance, and instruction. And you're still at that place in your life where your level of maturity says, I'm a grown adult. I should be able to do what I want to do. Well, you can. You don't live in your parents' household. You can do whatever you want to do, but there's consequences to the way we decide to live. There's consequences to the way we live our lives when we don't take instruction. So I will tell you, you know, there's a couple of moments in the Bible that say to us, one, only a fool says there is no God. Two, only a fool refuses instruction. And the reason is because God is constantly instructing us. We just don't listen to hear the instructions that he's giving us. And so consequently, we keep bumping our heads along the way. But here's the reality. Your parents understand that they're not going to live forever. They don't want you to be left alone. They don't want you to have to struggle after they're gone. So they share with you what they know will move you forward in life, that will help you along in your maturation process, that will ensure that you have a good quality of life long after they're gone. That's all they're concerned about. One of the things you got to remember, and this is for all of you millennials who sometimes feel like people are trying to tell you how to live. No, that's not really what's happening. What's really happening is we have life experience. When I say we, meaning baby boomers, we have life experience that we've lived. We know how to navigate the challenges of life because we've lived them. Many of you want to navigate the challenges of life by experience. Because we have that experience, we try to share with you what's going to give you a great quality of life. But once we've shared that, we can't live your lives. There's nothing we can do to force you, nor do we desire to do anything to force you to live the way we want you to live. We only want for you a great quality of life. If you don't want that for yourself, then go on the journey alone and experience it for yourself, because that's what will happen. Life happens to us all. So you have to realize that you're only straining the relationship with your parents because you're constantly in conflict with them about what they say to you. But here's the reality. You get to pick and choose what of it you're going to use. You get to pick and choose whatever they say, you get to decide how you're going to apply it to your life or if you're going to apply it to your life. There's nothing they can do to make you apply the information they provide to you, to your quality of life. So you're either going to have a poor quality of life, an enriched quality of life, or a great quality of life. And the reality is, your parents, they have their own life. They don't, you see, this is how you know where you are in your journey of maturity. This is how you know where you are in your maturation process. When you understand that your parents have their own life, they're not interested in living yours. They can't force you to live the way they want you to live. You get to decide whatever they say, I'm going to use it or I'm going to discard it. And that's just the bottom line. But because you're not there yet, because you're still rebelling against the norm, you think it's creating a strain in your relationship with your parents. Your parents are going to love you no matter what. No matter what you decide to do, they're going to love you. But they can't solve all of your problems. Sometimes we dig holes that are so deep that our parents cannot get us out of. And the rule of holes is when you're in a hole, stop digging. Stop digging and start climbing. You've got to realize that your parents are the people that God has assigned to your life to provide you with the information from the previous generation to take you into your generation and beyond to the next generation. That's really what your parents are trying to do. And the reality is that you are still at that place in your life where you're rebelling against whatever your parents say, and you have decided it's caused a strain, but it really isn't a strain for your parents, because even when you visit your parents and they give you guidance, they give you direction, they give you guidance, they give you instruction, you leave and go back to your apartment. They have no idea what you're doing once you leave their presence. And the truth of the matter is, they can't spend their lives being concerned about that, because you're going to live your life your own way. But you've got to get to the place where you understand that and stop kicking against the pricks. Stop thinking that your parents are public enemy number one and number two. That's what, we used to say that when our children were younger. Now they're adults with, homeowners, and my son's case, married with children. So we know now they understand that everything we have done and everything we have tried to teach them was just to make certain that they have a great quality of life. And your parents are only trying to do the same thing for you because they're parents. And if they weren't telling you what they know is going to benefit your life, then they're not engaged. They're not engaged parents. They are responsible, assigned by God, to share whatever information they have that will enhance the quality of your life. You've just got to get to the place where you're wise enough to understand that. And so I want to say to you, learn to live with your parents, because someday you'll have to live without them. And they want to know that you're going to be in a great place when they leave and go home to be with the Lord. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may have the opportunity to become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. However, before I do that, I'm going to remind all of our listeners and viewers that this segment of the broadcast is going to be brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. So if you are in the market for a high-performance automobile, one of the finest automobiles, high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com. You will have the opportunity to virtually build out the Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area, you can simply go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Didio, who's the general manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone assist you in selecting the Porsche you desire to own. And if you are in our area and you currently own a Porsche and you are just in need of service, go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Adams, who is the service manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone schedule an appointment for you. They will pick up your vehicle at your home or office, drop a loaner vehicle to you, and return your vehicle to you when your service has been completed at PorscheDelaware.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you want to know how to learn to become more disciplined and accomplish what you desire to accomplish in life. So let me say something to you. I hear this from so many people so often. So first of all, you're not the first person to say this. You want to learn to be more disciplined. And learning to be more disciplined requires habit forming behavior. So habitual behavior. So let's talk about, first of all, I want to say this to everyone because the root word for discipline is disciple. So if you're going to have any real discipline in life, now I understand people can develop human behavior that allows them to be disciplined. Okay, I'm going to say this because my wife always says this to me. She will say, if you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it because you have discipline. And discipline means making a conscious decision that first and foremost you're going to be discipled. You're going to be a disciple. What that means is you're going to form a relationship with the Lord that's going to give you the strength to be disciplined. See, the reason society doesn't have a lot of discipline is because there's so many people who aren't committed to being disciples. They're not committed to learning the Word of God so that they can apply the Word of God to their daily lives. But now that's the spiritual aspect. Now I'm going to talk about the human aspect, what we're being taught by the world and what we're being taught by society, and that is move around, do you, enjoy life. You only have one life to live. You only live once. It teaches us a lot of different things, but it doesn't teach us how to be disciplined. And in order for you to accomplish what you want to accomplish in life, you have to be focused. So I use focus as an acronym, following one course until successful. And in order to do that, you have to be consistent. So you have to be willing to understand what's going to get you to the place that you desire to go. You have to understand what is required of you. I'll use athletes as an example. So as an athlete, and I'm a former athlete, as an athlete, you've got to be willing to put in work. So I'll use an example. I've run 5 marathons. I've run 4 half marathons, run a lot of 5Ks. You have to put the work in, which means you've got to train, you've got to exercise, you've got to eat right, you've got to get your rest. I won't go out for a run if I haven't gotten 8 hours of sleep the night before, because I know my body's not going to perform at a high level. Now, when I was younger, I would push myself. Even if I hadn't gotten 8 hours of sleep, I would go out, push myself, and I'd just come back and say, well, I didn't have a great run today. But now I understand that if I'm going to perform at a high level, I've got to put the work in, but I've got to lay some foundation before I even go out and put the work in, which means the day before I have to make sure I hydrate really well. I've got to make sure that I I eat right the day before. I've got to make certain that I get 8 hours of sleep the night before. And then I can get up, go out for a run, and I can perform at a high level. That's the key. But now, having said that, here's the other part to that. I've got to be consistent about doing that if I'm going to run a marathon, which means I've got to do it for a long period of time, consistently. I've got to know my schedule, and I've got to work the schedule. I've got to stay on schedule. I can't get distracted. I have to stay focused if I'm going to run. So I know that I'm always looking for ways to perform at a higher level when I'm running these races. I don't run them to win. I don't run them to come in the first place. I run them to finish. And what that requires me to do is keep my body right. No, it's not perfect, but I'm working on it. It requires me to do some certain things. If you're going to accomplish what you want to accomplish in life, what you desire to accomplish in life, you've got to stay focused. You've got to tune out the noise. You've got to eliminate the distractions. You can't allow the distractions to impair your vision. Your vision is, I'm trying to go someplace. There is a place I want to go. I really wish that people didn't miss yesterday's Sunday sermon by the technology issues, because I talked a lot about not focusing on our flesh, but focusing on our spirit, making certain our spirit is right, making certain that we are doing all of the necessary things to enter into a new dimension in God. And the reason is because God is trying to take us all someplace. He really wants to take us all to the place that He has purposed for our lives, but the place that He dwells in a new dimension. Because modern day terms, that's the next level. And we get stagnant because we lose our focus. We become complacent because we lose our focus. And one of the things I've often said to people is that every step you take is about the next step. It's not about the step you have taken. It's about the next step. So we have to do what's necessary to take that next step. We have to be focused at all times. And one of the things I'm really going to commit to reminding everyone is that for you to be disciplined, you've got to become a disciple. You've got to be a disciple of Christ. You know, some people will say, oh, just get a mentor. Well, mentors, I've mentored people. That's a great calling from God, to be assigned to mentor someone. But when you do that, what you should be doing is discipling them. But then you have to become a disciple of Christ. So I'm saying that to say, I want everyone to understand how important it is that we get in this relationship with the Lord that is not just predicated on feel-good moments. It's about the long term. It's about continuing to grow in this thing. It's about staying focused on the course that you're on. Follow one course until successful. Don't get distracted by moving around and doing what society tells us is okay to do, and just doing what society is doing because it's the norm. You've got to be different. If you're going to have success at anything, you've got to be willing to be different. Because most people are just going through life, getting through life, and trying to have what they perceive to be a good time. And the good time that they perceive is what society tells them is a good time. We can't care about any of that. It can't be about any of that. A good time is when you can go to bed at night in peace. A good time is when you can wake up in the morning and say, I'm looking forward to the day ahead because I know God is going to accomplish something great in me. That's a good time. And so I'm going to encourage you not to lose your focus. Stay on point. Know that God is doing something in you and through you that is going to bring him glory. He's going to do something that someone's going to look at your life and say, what must I do to be saved? How can I have that quality of life that you're enjoying? You know, and so I'm gonna say this to you very specifically. I hear people talk about they want to be more disciplined in their finances, but they won't stop spending money. They won't start saving and investing. They just want to spend money. They want to spend money because it makes them feel good at a moment. They want to spend money giving people in their family money, let me go here, so they can feel good about themselves when all they're going to do is waste it. The Bible says don't cast the pearls before swine. Because you got to know that everything means something. Everything that in your life means something. So you've got to make a decision. If you really want to be focused, you got to be willing to keep your eyes stayed on him. Keep your eyes focused on the Lord. Keep your eyes focused on what God is doing in you. Keep your eyes focused on what God is doing through you. And don't get distracted by what everybody else is doing, because what everybody else is doing is just what the world tells them is fun to do. Create your own joy. Find your joy in the Lord and you'll have a great quality of life. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything that a man could possibly need. And if you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door. And the White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from the White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are now 35 years old. You said you're single, you have no children, and you have not had a lasting relationship, and you have no idea why. You know, first things first, real easy. Stop being the good time girl. You know, you're 35 years old. You've got to decide that you're not going to be living just to have a good time. 35 years old, you want to make sure that you are being fruitful and multiplying in your career and in your personal life. Your personal life, your professional life. So you've got to stop chasing the good times. And you got to stop hanging out with people who are chasing the good times. You got to be willing to settle in and do some things that are going to be meaningful. And if you do that, you're going to find yourself in a relationship. You're going to find yourself someday getting married. You're going to find yourself being fruitful, multiplying, and replenishing the earth because you're doing something meaningful. Because what you're doing right now has no meaning. And because it has no meaning, you're not finding your place in a relationship. There's a reason you're still single. There's a reason you have no children. And it's fine. You can say, oh, you know, I'm happy with my singleness. That's another thing society has just taught us that makes no sense. Because the Bible clearly told us to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. But society says, be happy in your singleness. No, what we should do is find joy in the Lord until we stand before the altar, before God and family and friends, and commit to love someone for the rest of our days. Today's Daily Divine Direction Broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Have a great day today. I want to remind everyone, stay connected with us on our internet radio station, WKAP.